Good morning to you all. You're about to get 3.5 days of university lectures in 30 minutes, so hold on to your trousers, because this is normally what I lecture on in cyber terrorism and e-crime course. So what I'm going to do is talk you through threats, and you think, wait a minute, Francis, you're not going to introduce yourself first. I'll introduce myself on the next slide. But I'm going to talk to you about email threats. Realistically, you know yourselves as IT professionals, if people didn't click on links, I wouldn't have a job. It is that simple. Trying to tell people not to click on links, I don't know how else to do it apart from interpreted dance and sarcasm, but they still click on links, which is good because it pays me. I'm then going to talk about deception, okay? And this is how I started my career in this sort of world. I worked in what we call psychological operations, and it's a good world. I get to mess with people. Physical wounds heal, mental don't. So this is where I operate. And I worked as a chemistry teacher for about 11 years, which set me up for PsyOps perfectly. And then I moved across into the intelligence world, where we're not allowed to influence. So when I give you an intelligence assessment, it should be honest and factual, okay? And it should be based on scientific rigor. Corporate world don't seem to do intelligence properly. They report the news. They'll say, oh, you've had IOCs. Yeah, I know that. My system's not working. That's not intelligence. That's news. What I want to say is, this is what could happen next, this is what's highly likely to happen next, and this is how to prevent it. That's intelligence. That's something I can do with. So there's no point saying to you, you should have had an umbrella today. Like, thanks, that didn't help me. What I'm saying to you is, we're up north, it's going to rain all the time. Countering deception, so how we do this at Frontier Technologies. So I lecture on AI, I lecture on quantum, and I lecture on metaverse stuff. So we'll talk about the questions of what we're looking at next and how we're doing it. And then, what's Mimecast doing? So I lead the labs and future engineering team at Mimecast. So part of it is the chief scientist's span of control. I then lead labs, which is where we look at future threats. So say I'm looking at Snake ransomware technology. I predict what the next one's going to look like. So therefore, when it hits us, we actually are 80% covered because we've worked out what the next iteration is going to look like. And that's what we do in our labs team. Then I have threat intelligence team report to me, and I also have my data scientists who are AI and ML engineering team, and I'll show you what we're doing with that later. I'm stuck here. I'm a pacer, so this is really hard. I keep going to want to walk off. That's why you see me pause, thinking, damn, I should be walking. I'm not going to get my steps in today, but you can see I let myself go long ago. Right. So I'm going to go here. Can you hear me if I come off? Would you like that? I could. I'll walk around the microphone and start singing now. Hello? There we go. Okay, so you can see here, I'm a person. Most people describe me as an entity. I accept that. My daughter has lots of other things to say about me, but I'm a person, okay? So look at me. You're thinking, I know him from somewhere. Family Guy, okay? That's where it's from. And I hate you all. Okay, so I'm a person. But I have lots of different personas, and you're going to find this out over the next 30 minutes. Because not only do I work for Mimecast, I also have many other functions. I'm a magistrate, so I have a different persona when I'm a magistrate. I don't smile at people, I send them to prison. I'm also work on the lifeboats. I don't go out with them because obviously I do it from the shore. So I do what we call education volunteer. So I have that as a persona. I also am a parent of 2 children in 2 different schools, so I actually have email addresses for those 2 places as well. And I still have other functions I do for other people. So Francis, this one person, has got lots of email addresses. Okay, so you can see I've got lots of different personas. As a result, I have lots of different information pathways. I operate on different networks. So I work on justice.gov, I work on eJudiciary, I work on rnli.org, I've got mimecast.com. So I work in different networks. And I'm geolocated in one place. Okay? However, I can actually pretend to be other places. So I have pretended to be lots of different people in other worlds. Surprisingly, I have social groups. Not for long, so this changes often, but I do have social groups that people let me in for about 40 minutes and then realize their mistake. So in the UK, we look at this as 6 layers. US have 3 layers. They find it harder to count. So they have cognitive, virtual, and the physical world. Mimecast, we look at it as data, people, communication. So we look at it in another lens. But realistically, this is the 6 layers, okay? And because I have those different persona, because I have those different network things, I actually am quite a good target because there's so many access points for me to people get into my life. Now, I'm going to pretend to be a baddie from now on, okay? So when you start seeing me say things, you're like, oh my gosh, Mimecast is a terrible company. They don't do any of that. I did. So I'm now going to be talking as a baddie for the next 20 minutes. I want to get inside your life, okay? Now, we're going to talk about influence, deception. And influence and deception are related to marketing, advertising, all those things. It's me trying to influence you, okay? I'm trying to influence you to do something. Buy my product, interact with me when I send you an email. And by doing those sort of things, there's certain techniques we will use, okay? And when I'm using it for evil, that's deception. When I'm using it for good, we'll call it advertising. But also when you have children, pest power, my children are always coming into me, can you do this, can you do this? And I sit there watching their techniques thinking, actually, that's a classic technique there, that's a classic technique there. My children hate me analysing them, and that's why I don't go home often. But again, with this influence, you'll see there's the influence triangle. And it's cool, I'm trying to change your will, your capability, or your behaviour, or all 3. So that's what I'm trying to do. They're my 3 things. Capability, will, and behaviour. And when we talk about email threats, what we're looking at here is, this is where a threat actors, has actually been quite successful in somehow talking to you, interacting with you, and someone clicking on the links. Now, in the world of PsyOps, and a few of my other careers, I need to get information out of you. We don't call it interrogation in the UK, we call it debriefing. Tactical debriefing, but it's debriefing nonetheless. And what we're trying to do there is give you hope. You always think you're going to come out of this alive. You're not. Forget that. But as long as you've got hope, and as long as you've got curiosity, you're a good human. Because that's what you rely on, that you hope you're not being scammed. That you hope that actually things are going to work out for you. They're not. Okay. I'm not a nice person. Remember, I'm the bad person. I'm not a nice person. The fact that I'm trying to do harm to you, I'm a criminal. Yeah. So, and people forget about us criminals because during lockdown, I lost a lot of money. My children in private school. How do I pay my mortgage? No one ever thinks of the evil henchman anymore. So I need to get my money back, and I need to make a return on my investment I've invested in looking at you. Now, when I start doing this targeting of you, what I'm looking for really is any vulnerabilities in your life. And if you do it properly, so you do it the government way, those people over there on the good side, we look at this as a pattern of life analysis. I'm looking at your life. I'm going to get inside your life. And it takes me about 2 to 4 days to get in someone's life. If I want you to do other things, like maybe blow yourself up for me, I'll find something else, like say your child, and I'll get threaten them, and then you'll blow you up. So IRA used to use this to good effect in the 70s and 80s. They'll get a taxi driver, go to the family's house and said, if you don't drive this taxi to the base, I'm going to kill your kids. And I didn't ever see the kebab thing they used to take the elephant's leg thing. We do it on the children. You just take their arms off and start skinning them alive, and obviously then the father will do it for us. I've just got to find what makes you think. So we look at what the threats we're seeing at the moment. They're not going to go and take your child. What they're just trying to do is get you to click on a link. But I need to find things that I'm going to do to you and that hopefully you're going to interact with. Now, again, remember that return on investment. Well, most of the stuff we're seeing at the moment is in the manufacturing, the logistics, professional services, because post-pandemic, these are the organizations that need to be up and running, that need to continue doing their work for us to get back to an economic, normal way of standing. So by having this manufacturing, targeting, logistics, trails, and financial services, I know they're going to pay. However, if I go to healthcare at the moment, that's not going to pay because things are ticking over for them at the moment. During the pandemic, though, healthcare was a big target because, again, corporate espionage, all the various things going on with the vaccine, obviously people very ill, they needed those servers up and running. So you'll see that the threat actors will move with where the market is, where there is going to be money to be made, data to be harvested. That's where I'm going to go. One of the questions about quantum I'm going to come on to later, but what are they doing? Well, as Sarah quite rightly says, they're harvesting now and decrypting later. So some of that really interesting intelligence that we have on people, in the past, very, very well protected. Well, actually, if I can break the encryption on that later, so if I nick it now, when the new standards come along, I can then break that data and then use it to good effect. So you can see we're seeing harvest now, decrypt later. It's become a bit of a thing. Other things, we're seeing impersonation increase. And I'll talk about how I would impersonate you in a little while. But impersonation is on the increase. Finance, we've seen the volume obviously remains significant. That's just because the financial markets, economic markets, but also financial targets are of interest because it pays for my future activities. And then, as Sarah quite rightly said, the Russia-Ukraine conflict is still causing us some concern, not because necessarily the attacks are happening to us directly, as in our customers. It's more the impact in terms of the cybersecurity industry. And again, we'll talk about these as we go through. This is from IT governance, and you can still see the attacks are quite significant. You can still see there's about 14 million breached records. These are over a certain threshold, so it's not just numbers I'm giving you. These are ones that are over a certain standard in terms of what was actually harvested. But you can still see this is ongoing. We are down on last month in our detections. In Mimecast, we see about 200 to 300 million emails a day, and of those, about 4 or 5 million are malware. So we will see those come through. So I can only talk about Mimecast data. We don't talk about other data only because I don't have access to the true story, and as a result, it'd be very bad of me to talk about, Sophos has seen this, because in case you change your policies and practices, and they think, well, Francis, you told me this. Well, it wasn't my data to talk about. So I'm only going to talk about Mimecast data. So why do we still get deceived? Why does these things still keep happening to us? Well, because people like me, okay? So I'll talk you through a situation. There's one I actually had to do for the BBC yesterday because they're talking about what is the science of Mission Impossible. So I'm trying to talk on a train really quietly while everyone else in the carriage going, what the hell's this man saying? Because I was talking about how you hack into CCTV and what I could do, and he's like, right. So I want to target one of you, okay? And really good one is I'll look for your photo. That's the first thing I'm going to try and do. So I'll go to your corporate website, see if there's a photo of you. That's my personal in. And what I then do is use various online tools where I can actually find that photo of you anywhere on the web. And it is actually very easy to do. What it will do is go through CCTV cameras that haven't got password protected. It'll go through your TVs that haven't got the non-firmware. So I can actually just see you in different places. It could be that we're all sitting here at a table and someone's taking a photo, but you're at the back is my target. You will still show up in that photograph and it will be found. So even though you're not the subject of the photo, the fact you're in the background, this particular program will pick up on you. So I can start seeing where you are, where you hang out, who you talk to, and I'm going to start building up that social network, aren't I? I'm going to start seeing where you are. Another in would be your child, because obviously that makes you vulnerable. And you always see those beginning of school, I could Google it, but you have the beginning of school photos, I call them the Trek photos. Oh, look at my darling going off for the first day at school. You're like, oh my God, your child's like, whoa. But anyway, we'll get past that because I know what I look like. So I've got the child, what school they go to. Most of the time, the photo has their car, so I get the number plate. Also has their house number because it's usually in front of their front door. So I get lots of other information. If not, I flip the photo, look at the metadata, and I actually get your GPS location because many people don't switch off their GPS on their photos. But I've got a little photo of your kid's school badge. So I now know where you sort of frequent from your online activity of where I found you, and I know your child, what school they go to. So what I'm going to do is start looking in the local area to where you frequent to see where your kid goes to school. The child doesn't die in this case. I can see you looking worried. It's okay. I'm not going to kill her yet. What happens now is I will actually have your child photos, and I'll start looking through the school website, start looking for your child elsewhere on the web. And you'll see people share lots of photos of the children. That's fine. They don't put their name, which is sometimes good but not good. But eventually, I will find photos, say, of your child playing hockey at school. And what I now will do is impersonate the school's website, or I'll just create an email address and send it to you as the parent and saying, look, I've got pictures of Sarah at school today. I didn't see you around. You may have been there, but I didn't get a chance to catch you. But here's your kid playing hockey. And little thumbnails appear, so the parent thinks, oh, I'll click on those. And obviously, I've put embedded software, so when the photo downloads, I'm now in. And that's what it is, nice and simple. It could be that you are a healthy person and go around jogging for some reason. Unless something's chasing you, I can't see the point. But anyway, just say someone's jogging. And I get all those little routes. Again, I can work out where you are, where you frequent. And I could actually then see if you join any running clubs, if you're at these sort of things. And I'll send you an email again, pretending to be from JD Sports and saying, look, you know, as part of a reward to your local club, we're giving you 15% off trainers. And again, download the voucher. And again, the embedded software. Now, I'm doing it to your home address because what I'm trying to do there is I'm trying to get around the cybersecurity that you may have at your workplace. And then what I'm now going to do is start looking at you at home. And it could be that you're in sales. It could be that I work out that you need to send in reports to work. You do a lot of work at home on a laptop or whatever, especially during lockdown or hybrid working. So that when you send the email onto your work system, I'm going to try and do a man-in-the-middle attack. I'm going to try and do different attacks where I will actually now try and bypass your cybersecurity vendors. Or you get the email coming into work, you know you sent it, you know your home system isn't virused, so you'll say, override, I need that document. Or I'll try and mess with your VPN, so you'll send it via a different method, like Teams, Dropbox. We see a lot of people trying to bypass email security because we know the email gets stopped. I need this email, I'm going to use Dropbox, and Dropbox stops that email seg. So I will have done this good pattern of life analysis on you to try and get you to do what I want you to do so I can get into your system. Okay, and you can see there's a number of different ways, but really what I'm still trying to do is get inside your thought process. So how do we do it? Well, there's a great book here. I don't know if you've ever seen NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Program. It was in Kingsman. They were pretty rubbish, actually. But some people are natural NLPers. You know, they're affable, nice people. I don't know how those people work. They're just nice. And we go, oh, I love him. He's a nice guy. Mine are, France is a bit weird. Funny, peculiar, not funny, ha-ha. And I get that a lot, and I get it. So I'm not one of those people. I've had to work at this to wear you down. But some people are just naturally lovely, aren't they? Yeah, and they're natural, whereas others have to be taught how to do this. So how do we do it? How do I look for people? So it's a 7-day course. It's actually very interesting. And we're looking for things. So if I'm a human intelligence, where I have, chizzes, people I look after who come and give me information, I'm looking for how they talk. And I'll sit and listen. I'll chat to people about pretty much nothing. But what I'm trying to do is work them out, start seeing them and thinking if I can actually start seeing their psychology. And there's techniques we could use, mirroring. So say I've got someone sitting across me, crosses their arms, I'll cross my arms, I'll do things. And eventually, I'll take over, I'll cross my leg, and then they'll cross their leg. It's very funny how people mirror each other. It's part of that herd mentality. Overemphasis of truthful? Honestly, I'm telling you, it was so funny, honestly. Okay, is it really? Because you keep saying honestly a lot. Hedge statements, and I'll let you read this when you get the deck. But there are things that give away when people have been truthful and people are not. Now, I told you I was a teacher for 11 years. I know how people like kids come in. So I haven't done my homework. Okay, here we go. And yeah, you can tell they're not telling the truth. And they say, well, yeah, but Francis, how do you articulate it? I just know they're lying to me. I know the person. And that's part of it, is getting to know the person, that pattern of life analysis. Goes on to another page, don't worry. We then go on to change headers. Now, you do get these, players with an A, players, who say, oh, if they look down to the left, they're lying. That's absolutely a load of rubbish. You watch me talking, my eyes are all going, they don't maintain eye contact. I don't maintain eye contact. I think when I stare at people, it's creepy. I mean, that's what the people on the tube tell me. So I try not to maintain eye contact for long periods of time because it's just weird, especially like this. So, but they do. People breathe differently. They're nervous. They may do different things. All right. So there's no one way of actually being able to say, this is how you tell a liar. There's lots of different ways, and it's just getting to know the person. Now, humanting, where I've got a cheers, someone coming to me telling me inside information, I'm not sure they're even still telling me the truth, because what's their motivation? Why are they coming to tell me this stuff? Is it because I'm pulling their fingernails out? Well, yeah, that could be. But actually, torture is not very good in interrogation debriefing, because they eventually tell you what they think you want them to hear. So actually, torture is not a good method of interviewing people. Neither is listening to people's phone calls, because if I'm talking to Sarah, I'm trying to impress her. She's my boss, and I'll be like, Sarah, I've done this. And you think, I can hear on the phone the inflection, he's lying to her. But again, SIGINT, where we're listening to telephone calls, that's not necessarily always the best either. What it is a combination of many things. Everybody in this room is different. You're all going to have different tells. You're going to have different vulnerabilities. So there's no one size fits all. The baddie will do this. Yeah. So we don't have this They may stare without blinking often. I wink at people, which is seriously weird. Because, it's like saying hello from distance. Some people are, the man keeps winking at me. So how do we do it in the virtual world? Well, it's hard, because I can't sit there chatting to you like I would at a table and influence you. I can't use a TV media where I've got video playing and you're listening to me and I'm trying to influence you and use all these techniques. So how do we do it? Hope and curiosity. Remember those two human vulnerabilities. They're good things, that makes you human. But look here, this is from the 7-7. Unfortunately, I was down at the bus when that happened. So see this pole here? He's in front of the back bomber. So all the poles, the gates, but this one here goes in front of that bomber. That slide's not been doctored. You can actually go and look at the photos on the web. Go 7-7 bombers. I get told off at work a lot. I think, can you stop showing people that photo? But you can see the pole goes behind him. That photo has been doctored, hasn't it? There's no other way of explaining that pole behind the person. So I'm now getting people curious. They're going to click on that link, go, what's going on there? I'm drawing you in, do you see? Because people are curious. Prince William and Harry, they've got a sister. No, they don't. Yeah, they do. They have a sister. It's Queen Camilla's daughter, but it's a sister. But I'm getting people again going, really? Oh yeah, Lucy. And that's her name, Lucy. So people then click on that link. You've got the ones here, like McDonald's, going to stop serving the Big Mac. Oh my gosh, what a travesty. I'm not. I'm actually ice cream. You can see this is Ben & Jerry's sponsor this body. But again, people go, what? Fake news, isn't it? This has become a big thing, fake news. But I'm getting you interested. I'm trying to draw you in because I can't use all those techniques I would use in the physical world. So I've got to find different ways of getting you to engage. And so one of my team at the moment are doing sentiment analysis in AI. So when an email comes in, it reads your email. We don't, they do. It reads your email and say, well, actually, this is an influencing email, and it will block it. But that's not a good thing, because if I'm trying to sell you something, legitimate email, people may be interested, they're going to get blocked by that same sentiment analysis. So what I've now got to do is work out the sentiment between a good email, someone who's doing it for good, and someone like Francis, who's trying to cause you harm. There's loads of other ways. You don't just have to click on the link. There's like HTML smuggling. There's payloadless, as we would call it, where I'm trying to get you to call me. If I can get you to call me, I've got you off your cybersecurity. You're now talking to me, and I can now start influencing you. I can use all those skills to influence you because you're not in your cybersecurity space. But think of that dad getting a photo of Sarah, playing hockey. He's not expecting at home to be getting an email. He may be at work thinking that's zero trust. Now, you've always got to think of me. I mean, weird, but think of me. I'm not a nice person. Do not trust emails. If you've got an email from somebody out of the blue, you're thinking, wait a minute, who's this person? Now, we have, again, in our engines, ones where an email may have been created in the last half hour, last day, whatever. We block those emails, so we actually can check with how long that email has existed, has it sent to anybody else, that sort of thing. So we'll warn you. But we do have human nature. And we call it the Janus effect. So when I was working at one of the government offices, we had a study we were doing. And we sent the email to everybody saying, please don't click on a link. This is just a test. It will take you to a page, be harvesting your credentials. Don't click on it. We just want to see whether it gets through our security. That's what we said. We got 116% hit rate. How'd you get 116%? You sent it to 100 people. The Janus effect. Janus thought it was hilariously funny and sent it on to other people on our behalf. And people clicked on that link as well. You're like, what? People were clicking on the link, even though we told them this is harmful to your computer. We just want to see it got through our landscape. So I can influence you. Just look at these pictures. I'm sure some of you in the room will go looking at that photo now. You will. You can't help it. Human nature. But that's when I get you. Okay? And I can turn, I've got a different presentation I do on July 7th because I was there for different reasons, where I can actually get to show you that it was an inside job. 100% it's an inside job. Like, really? Yeah, it's an inside job. I'll show you all the evidence. They were running a crisis management scenario that day, that if 4 bombs happened to go off in London at train stations, what would we do? That's what the scenario was. And then when it actually happened, I suddenly had 250 people in a room now doing a live incident of the very same scenario they were testing. The bus that had the bomb on it was the only one diverted. I can go through all of this conspiracy theory and make you believe because people are curious and they still have hope. Okay? And that is what the threat actor is relying on. So let's look at these frontier technologies. So there's another type of NLP which is confusing, natural language processing. So what I'm trying to do here on the internet, virtual, is try and work out how I can get you to interact with me, but without me using all those lovely other NLP skills. Yeah? So we've already said about what it is in text, and this is what we've got our AI machine learning as we speak, literally, is what it is about the text that makes people interact with that email. Okay? Now, you should think of Francis, just delete that email, because if the person's going to really need to, they'll send it again. But it's better to be safe than sorry. Ring the person. Now, again, ringing the person, you could be getting to me. So when I've done man-in-the-middle attacks before, I read, no, on the baddie, I'll do it. Yeah, so when I've done man-in-the-middle attacks, what I've done there is get you to call me, so I can actually start doing those NLP skills on you. Yeah? I'm trying to get you off where you're protected to talk to me. Yeah, if I can get you to talk to me, I'll elicit some response for you. Are some words more influential? This is the CEO. Gosh, if my CEO spoke to me, I'm in so much trouble. It's usually HR calling me, but CEO may call me on the odd occasion to give me the P45. But what I will then do is ring the boss to say, sir, I call him sir. I say, yeah, sir, have you called me? No. I'm just checking because I got an email from you. Oh, and it's that double check. Now, during the lockdown, this was brilliant for me as a baddie, because usually we'd be sitting next to each other and go, have you got this email? No, I haven't got that email. Or you start seeing the multiple got to send the email, so it could be spam, there's a scam, the DHL scams and all those things. You'll talk to a friend. But you're not going to set up a Zoom call just to say, I got this email, have you? Yeah, so it was better during lockdown when people were doing that hybrid working for me to start doing some of these attacks, because it was actually harder for people to do those double checks. They didn't want to cause a fuss. They didn't want to seem weak. They didn't want to say, well, actually, I'm not sure. And that means you're not competent. Well, no, it's not at all. You actually are very competent. You're double checking why you've got this email. Is it the culture in the organization? Look, get on with it. We haven't got time to be faffing around. Let's get on with it. So there's been various studies done, and this one, the University of Texas, and they identified that there are some words that people do respond to, and we actually do those, those word clouds you see, where we can see the sort of things that make people interact. Yeah, so we give them 10 quid, and they start clicking away on different things. But again, I can motivate people in different ways. So when I was doing questionnaire in Iraq, I would send this questionnaire out saying, did you know Saddam Hussein raped and killed 15 million women under his rule? Did you know that he kills people? And one of the questions say, do you think Saddam Hussein was a good person? Yes or no? Now, I have coached you, encouraged you, talked to you, so that in that 25-question questionnaire, I've actually brought you around to the thing that 95% of Iraqis think Saddam Hussein should be removed. Yeah, but you didn't show me the other questions that brought that conclusion, do you see? So again, some of this natural language processing, you need context. I need to see what other things. With the Pan 10, 97% of women said this was good. And 5 people were asked, my mum, 3 aunties and an uncle, that sort of thing. So look at the numbers, look at that, the numbers they interviewed. So how do we counter it? I'm trying to stay on time here. So how do we counter it? Well, the bits in bold is what we do at Mimecast, and I'm not selling you Mimecast because Tweeds would tell you, I have no idea of our product. I work in intelligence. I give the honest truth of what is happening. I don't try and influence our customers, because if I did, I lose that trust. But we identify the frequencies of phishing. We do that in some of our AI ML. We look at sentiment analysis, so we do look at the emails, but it is very hard because, again, lots of people who are trying to sell to our customers get their emails blocked. And then ones we don't do. Well, why don't I do social demographics such as sex, age, language, and religion? Well, one of the subjects I teach at university is AI ethics, and it's very hard for us in the physical world to actually talk about these things. How do I bring it into the virtual? We work in a binary world, then there's a non-binary world in terms of sexual orientation or whatever. So it's actually challenging for us to do this in our AI ML, and at the same time, we wouldn't find it ethical. Other people do, and they need it for their analytics. We just don't. To me, to stop an email, I don't need to know any of those things. If it comes up in sentiment analysis, that's different. But in terms of these as our characteristics, geographic characteristics, we don't care. Okay, people go, oh, no, it'd be really handy to know who was attacking me. I've pretended to be in so many different countries around the world sending you emails that if you close off an email originating from, say, Belarus, well, yeah, I can actually zombie different machines and go around through VPNs, and it looks like it's coming from Iran when actually it's coming from Belarus. So that is not a good technique for us as an email security company to be doing. Psychographic ones, needs, hopes, concerns, and aspirations. We don't do that because Apparently that's not right, HR keep telling me. We don't call it HR, we call it the Gaffney suite because I'm down there that often. But yeah, so we don't look at hopes and aspirations. I don't care about your feelings. I'm just there to block your emails. But, you know, if I'm a baddie, they're the very things I'm going to be trying to do to get you to interact. People have hopes, bless you. I have had such a life that I don't have any hope anymore. I really don't care. Someone says, help me lie on the floor. Is anyone a doctor? I'm a doctor. Not that type. My wife's one of those, and she only did 2 bachelor degrees and gets to call herself a doctor. Cheek of her. I've got a proper doctor. Jeez. Anyway, so have your hopes. Enjoy those dreams. They're all going to be crushed and ruined eventually. Audience thoughts, beliefs, knowledge, current actions relied on, through the health or social issues. We don't look at that either. Again, it's just ethics for us. We just switch off your emails or switch on your emails. People can put their own in their policies, but we just choose not to in our system. Now, the AI ML discussion is a challenging one. We're going to come on to it in a moment, because training the data is going to have so many issues. And the data, so I lecture at Cranfield and lecture at Royal Holloway. So I'm a research fellow at Cranfield, and what we find challenging with these things is there's so many ways you can damage the engines. So another university paid 100 university students. I mean, why would you give university students fun like this? They all get given 10 quid each and got told to ring a certain town council helpline. And the first 2 levels in that helpline are actually AI, they're bots. Only at the 3rd level you get referred to a human. But they go ring and say, oh, hello, scumbag. Yeah, I'm just asking after this. And every one of them, all 100, were told to say, hello, scumbag, and carried on. And eventually poisoned the machine, because the machine learned that actually this is how you greet people. So they say, hello, scumbag, such and such council. Like, what? And you just do that, again, training the data. So we call it AI poisoning. You may also introduce AI bias by accident. So there are different things that AI can bring that you think it's going to do this amazing thing, but it can bring in biases. So we were talking last night about, looking through the lens of the West, looking at, say, the Middle East, Far East, Russia, and the other way around. It's only when you then look at it from their point of view, you can start thinking, actually, they've got a point, and we call it going native. But there is a point where you're thinking, is Russia actually right in what they're doing? Yeah. So we don't involve ourselves in those sort of things. Gender, we don't care about, and effective communication channels for reaching the audience. We leave that to the victims' policies. But we do have multiple AI, NL, ML, and prediction software that we do use. And we do declare it, we tell our customers. So ChatGPT, big thing. Lots of ambulance chasers, lots of armchair experts. Just at the moment, we've just got over being submarine experts. We're now, so I love the internet. They're my people. I mean, I love them. I could do so much with them. If I want to take over the world, oh my gosh, I love people. I actually don't like physical people. They come in and near me. So we were taught, and it's something I use as one of my life mottos: be polite, be friendly, but have a plan to kill everyone in the room. And really, that's how I operate. So yes, there's multiple deaths I've done here already, but ChatGPT doesn't have any of those hopes, aspirations, beliefs. But what I can do is poison it so it does start thinking my way. So can it write bad malware? No, it can't. But you can actually get it to write chunks of malware and then put them all together to be a piece of bad malware. So you can do those things. There's lots of things you can do with ChatGPT. Yeah? So again, with these technologies, I can do harm. And I've done this lots of times. When people used to write letters to each other, those of you who live in London or have been to London, you'll know there's a place called Rosebery Avenue, the sorting office. So in the old days, when I were a lad, we would divert your mail, I'd open up, read it, put it back into the postal system. That's what we used to do. And then the internet came along, and we were like, what's this thing? And so you moved into it. I didn't start off in the cyber world. I started off in the, I would say, counterterrorism, but it was terrorism, it was fun. But the counterterrorism world. And we apply the same analytical tools we did for terrorists into cyber. So that's why I come with a different point of view from cyber. Yes, I'm looking at it through the cyber lens, but I'm looking at it as a terrorist, how I can do harm to people. And it actually changes my focus, because I'm now looking for the bad in people, the hopes I'm trying to remove from you. But this is a ChatGPT answer, and you're not sure that that's actually a funny thing or really scary, the fact that it knew that was a joke. That's really interesting. But can we use AI for harm? Yes, you can see that. So this slide you can read in your own time, but you'll see that we actually are now starting to detect a number of different things in our own area, but still starting to detect where AI has caused harm. University, we always knew AI because we have, they turn it in. So when people hand in these lectures that they've printed online, you can tell it a mile away. And plus also, when you're reading someone's script and then it suddenly changes tone, you're like, where did that come from? You can know that paragraph's just been copy-pasted in because the tone of it suddenly changed. But it can be used for good. So like my wife, GP, she's rubbish. All GPs are, we know that. She doesn't like me, that's fine. But what happens is the AI can read through her notes and say, Julia, do you know you've detected this? And you're a muppet, because that's a cancer patient. So AI can actually be used for good, where I've got lots and lots of data to try and get through. ChatGPT can help me, or AI, generative AI. But in other places, it's not good. So say in banks, when they start doing predictions on markets, you're basing it on a thing that's remote and doesn't understand context of human nature, context of global events, and so on. So you can see the bits of generative AI can be used for good, but can actually be used for bad. The metaverse, this is a thing that's causing lots of harm, and yet it's not talked about that much because it's just scary. So during lockdown, everyone was going to be living in the metaverse. That was the plan. You would put on your goggles and start walking around, and I'll be sitting here at this desk, and my friends from UAE and China, and I'll be sliding across my plans for a building I'm going to be building in Taiwan. They'll be reading it and sending it back. So that way I didn't have to fly out. I could have these great meetings. And we see it in Teams, and there's various other ones that are brilliant, brilliant software. But the metaverse brings it to a different level. And this is where you see Ready Player One and Free Guy, these sort of things, where people could actually walk along in goggles and jump over those Pokemon. I only swerve maybe 2-3 foot off my path to hit them, but no more than that, walking along in the goggle world. This augmented reality, people do use this a lot. Not as much as they thought. They really thought this was going to be huge, and it's going to be big in 5 years. It's going to be big. And it's one of those ones that technologies haven't necessarily taken off, but enough people have. So World of Warcraft. So before, in the old days, I'd go to Gorky Park, put my little note underneath a rock, I'd walk off, and then someone else in a trench coat would come along and pick it up, and that's how we used to do things. Now it's Lucinda the Troll walking under a bridge in World of Warcraft, meeting somebody. And we've seen that in the metaverse, and we saw that with the Massachusetts Air Guard on Discord, because it's the talking system they use to communicate with each other. So the metaverse hasn't been realized its potential, but we're seeing a lot of corporate espionage in the actual metaverse. Finally, on to quantum. So quantum, this is obviously where we have the armchair experts. I read here once that's going to break all of our code. It's not. We've actually got some very, very good cryptography in place to prevent this. It's not going to stop that harvest now, decrypt later. So there are companies, and Microsoft is one of them, Azure Quantum. It's a very good piece of kit. You've got IonQ, you've got Quantinuum, who's a company we do business with. What we're doing there is we're speeding up our algorithm interpretations using quantum so that our calculations can be faster. But we're not using it to hack to do things. But the USTC, the University of Science and Technology in China, they've got a networked city now. So where it was 5-10 years away, we're now looking at between 2 and 5 years. But is it going to be used to brute force people's crypto? That's not what's expected, because the first people entering that foray will be nation states. And they're after much more interesting stuff than your email content. So this is for you to read. I'll test you on it later. But these are the different types of cryptography. So to answer your question, the crypto out there is actually very, very good. And as Sarah said earlier, it's evolving all the time. The crypto is changing. So we now use mainly elliptical curve cryptography, but you're seeing the hash-based cryptography is a newer one. And it's evolving all the time, because as we break these cryptographies, we then change. So the lattice one was what was original, but we've actually changed it quite a lot into the elliptical one now, where we actually read the squares, the data on the squares. I've told you I can get into you in different ways. Yeah? But if you as a potential victim throw lots of different things in my pathway, I'm going to lose interest. I need that return on investment. So even though each layer you put in front of me can be compromised in different ways, it could be man in the middle, could be this, could be this, could be this, if you keep putting things in my way, I'm going to lose interest, unless I'm really coming after you. But these are I keep saying defense and death. Protect yourself in lots of different ways. This is a way of what we call target hardening. What things could you do to protect yourself? So make sure I don't have access to your hardware. Make sure your software is kept up to date and synced. Keep your people protected. Awareness training. Tell them about the threats that are out there so that they're aware of these things. processors and partners, make sure your third parties are using the same techniques and level of zero trust that you are. And I do mean zero trust. Think of everyone as Francis Gaffney. Yeah? That way you won't read any emails from me. I'll send you a few and that'll make you learn. Okay? What are my future concerns? Loads. Ransomware, you can see there's 3 in bold there. Ransomware, the hybrid model, and increase in legislation, because if we don't protect ourselves, the government will tell us to. And the government's legislation is not always good in this area. So it's better for us to self-govern rather than being told what we should be doing. I think I made up the time, did I? You can get 20 credits from Cranfield if you write to me.